What's up, guys? It's Dan from Coin Bureau Trading, back at it again with another crypto market update. Today we've got Sui, DeepBook, and Walrus. These three cryptos have been pumping a lot over the last 24 hours, and I'm sure you're all wondering, why are they pumping? How high are they going to go? If this is the kind of content that you enjoy, then be sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ping that notification bell. Before we get started, do keep in mind that nothing in this video is financial advice. It's just my personal analysis of these cryptos. Your analysis could be different, and if it is, that's awesome, because the more difference of opinion that we have, the better traders and the better investors we're all going to become. With that being said, guys, what I think is happening, I guess, in terms of why Sui is rallying, besides all the stuff on the macro front, of course, you guys probably heard that the Trump administration seems to be rolling back things in terms of the China tariffs. Trump said that he has no intentions of firing Jerome Powell, which was another thing that was causing concern in the markets. And we're getting early reports that there could be some more progress in the peace talks between Russia and Ukraine. So those three things combined, of course, have caused a pretty sizable rally in markets. And of course, that begs the question of why Sui, compared to other altcoins, is rallying so much. I think the answer is pretty simple. There's a big event coming up here, Sui Base Camp in Dubai on May 1st to 2nd. I think that this is the primary reason why Sui is rallying. There's probably going to be some very big announcements there, and you probably have lots of investors that are kind of positioning for those announcements in advance. Does that mean that there's going to be a sell the news event on May 1st or May 2nd as a result of Sui Base Camp? Possibly, to be honest. And I do think that this is part of the reason why DeepBook and Walrus are rallying as well. Of course, DeepBook and Walrus are two crypto projects on Sui, so I suspect that they're also rallying because of this upcoming Basecamp event. And I also think, on a side note, something I mentioned, I think, in yesterday's video or the day before, was that I believe the GameFi narrative is about to take off, potentially also the AI agents narrative, but at least as it relates to GameFi, that could be another catalyst that's kind of coming up. In terms of what's specifically going to trigger that GameFi FOMO, I honestly have no idea, but it's probably going to be some big crypto project making some announcement. We have news yesterday, I think, that Immutable X is going to be making some big announcement today. So it's possible that if Immutable X, which is a gaming layer 2, if memory serves, it's a gaming focused layer 2 on Ethereum, if they make an announcement that they've basically partnered, I don't know, with like Grand Theft Auto or something crazy like that, then chances are we'll see a huge rally among GameFi cryptos. And I would say that Sui is kind of a blue chip in that niche because of its handheld gaming device. I know that Sui is a general purpose layer 1, but for all intents and purposes, I do think that it's, in terms of what its focus is looking like it's going to be, it looks like it's going to be GameFi, especially with the Sui name service, which like lends itself to like gamer tags and stuff like that. Anyways, with all that in mind, I want to go here to Sui on the weekly. This is something I think I was pointing out last week. I had this trend line drawn. Of course, it's funny, like, I guess people aren't too big of a fan of trend lines for whatever reason. I guess it's because they prefer to see the indicators, because the indicators are just drawn by an algorithm versus trend lines being drawn by a person. So of course, the assumption is that, well, the algorithm is always going to be better. But in this case, let's just say that both are working quite well here. Sui has clearly broken above this resistance trend line that has been struggling to get above now for months, basically. It's one that I pointed out the other week. And what I personally think is going to happen is that Sui, in the short term here, I think it's going to hit the Bollinger Band moving average somewhere around $3.3. We could even add another trend line here. It's quite clear that there's a strong zone of resistance somewhere around $3.3, $3.4 on the weekly chart. So it wouldn't be surprising that Sui gets stuck, let's say, around $3.3, potentially sees a small rejection, and then after that, we'll have to wait and see. A lot of people are going to say that this rally is a bear market rally. A lot of traders are going to say that. They're going to say that as soon as Sui gets to $3.3, when it gets that initial rejection, they're going to say, okay, that's it. It's over. Sui's going to roll over into a bear market. I personally don't believe that's going to happen. I think what's going to happen is Sui will hit that target, get a small rejection, and then continue powering higher to new all-time highs sometime over the summer. But in the short term, I guess, again, the main level to watch here is the Bollinger Band moving average on the weekly, which again is around $3.3. Is that going to be hit this week or next week? I'm not sure, but I suspect it will coincide to the Sui Basecamp event. So probably sometime next week is when we'll see a rally up to this target. After such a big rally over the last 24 hours, it's normal if we get a little bit of chop and grind. So don't be surprised if in the short term Sui falls back, I don't know, like $2.5 or something like that, potentially, just as a means of grinding its way up to this target. It's probably not going to come overnight. With that being said, of course, we were using Binance there. The Coin Bureau deals page has a 20% trading fee discount and up to $600 of bonuses on Binance. That's the biggest deal that you can get on Binance. It's available exclusively through the Coin Bureau. Taking advantage of that deal is super simple. All you have to do is click the link in the description, and you'll get to a page that looks like this. All you have to do is enter your email or phone number. It takes 2 minutes to sign up. It's completely free. There's no fees or anything associated with signing up. You get a trading fee discount. The exchange gets a new user, and we get a cut of your trading fees. That's how the Coin Bureau makes its money. We're not being paid by Sui or any other crypto project. We don't care what crypto project you like, so long as you're looking to buy, sell, trade, whatever. We're here to give you the tools to do that. And again, you can find discounts not just on Binance, but other exchanges for US users, UK users, crypto wallets, all this type of stuff. You can find all of that in the Coin Bureau deals page using the link down in the description. Moving on now to DeepBook. This is where things get really interesting because again, I do think that the primary reason why DeepBook and Walrus are rallying is ahead of Sui Basecamp. But the other factor I think is just as a simple fact that DeepBook, because it's on Sui, and this is something a lot of people don't understand, is when an altcoin is on a chain. So for example, DeepBook being on Sui, when the token, or rather when the coin of that chain rallies, then chances are that the tokens on that chain will also rally, right? So at the very least, we would see because Sui has rallied, whatever it is by 25% over the last 24 hours, then we would probably expect a similar size gain in Deep, just purely as a result of the fact that on chain on Sui it trades primarily against Sui. So there's a lot of people that are kind of watching that Sui pairing, if that makes any sense. But the thing that makes Deep so interesting is, of course, it's not up 25% or 30%. It's up like 50%, which is pretty crazy. And of course, that makes you wonder, why is it pumping so much? And of course, when I can't find an obvious catalyst, then what I do, guys, is I go to CoinMarketCap, I click on the markets tab, and I sort by trading volume, and we can see that basically more than 2/3 of the trading volume is coming from Upbit and BitThumb, which are South Korean crypto exchanges. And for those of you who don't know, South Koreans are basically known for kind of aping into cryptos at certain periods. So it's possible that we're getting, I don't want to say like an orchestrated pump and dump here, but let's just say that there is some FOMO coming in from South Korean traders, and this is probably why Deep is pumping so much. I don't think this is a move that's necessarily going to be sustained, but that being said, the charts are looking pretty good. So what we're looking at here is Deep on the daily, and I've kind of did let's say a simplified version of this target math that I used to do here. So of course we have what I basically do, guys, is when it comes to this very basic support and resistance, is I kind of look at the starting point of the most recent move. You could say that starting point was somewhere around 7 cents, and say, okay, where could prices struggle to get above? Looks like that level is somewhere around 17 cents. You can make the argument that it's closer to 20 cents, in which case you could move even the lower level here up to 10 cents or 9 cents. Where exactly you draw these lines again is up to you. That's what I say at the beginning of the video, difference of opinion. The more difference we have, the better traders, the better investors we're all going to become. So, keep that in mind. But with that being said, basically how we calculate the target in this case is we just look at the starting point, which again is around 7 cents in my opinion. We look at where the resistance is likely to be, somewhere around 17 cents. We look at the difference between those two levels, which in this case is 10 cents. And then all we have to do is add that difference to this resistance level. And that gives us the target, which is 27 cents, which would be somewhere around a 55% gain from the current price. And again, I do think it's possible that Deep could hit this going into Sui's Basecamp conference. So it's possible that we'll see this target hit in the next week or two. Whether that's going to happen right away or if we're going to see a small correction in the short term, always possible. That's why I have the support level drawn here. It looks like that if Deep was to see a little bit of a pullback, because of course when you have a big move like this, guys, nothing goes up only. You have a big move up, then you see a little bit of a correction, and then another move higher, right? That's typically how things work. So in this case, it wouldn't surprise me if Deep was to correct, let's say, I don't know, all the way back down to 13 cents in the next, I don't know, few days. That could be possible, and then it bounces from that level, and then it goes up to that 27 cent target. That's possible, or it could just keep powering higher and hit that target. And which scenario you think is going to happen, again, is up to you. I personally think that the chances of Deep seeing at least a minor pullback, let's say down to 15 cents or something, would be completely normal. Maybe even just 17 cents. Just cooling down, seeing a couple days of chop, and then continuing to move higher to that 27 cent target. That would make the most sense in my view. Anyways, guys, moving on now to Walrus. So similar idea here. here, I was looking at Walrus and thinking, okay, like why is it rallying so much? But then I kind of noticed that again, as I mentioned, I guess a few moments ago, is that Walrus is basically just pumping in line with Sui. Of course, Sui is up, roughly 30%. Walrus is up around 20%. That kind of makes sense, especially when you consider that Walrus, for those who don't know, Walrus is a decentralized storage crypto basically on Sui, whereas DeepBook is like a liquidity protocol. It's basically used for DeFi trading and stuff like that. It's similar to Serum, if anyone remembers that. It was basically like a liquidity protocol on Solana that was launched by FTX. Going back in time there. But anyways, the point being is that, Walrus pumping by 20% when Sui is pumping by 30%, that makes a lot of sense to me. I imagine a lot of, if we were to look at other, smaller altcoins on Sui, then a lot of them are probably also pumping somewhere around, that 15, 20, 30% range, right? And that's mainly as a result that Walrus, and here we can see it even clearer, that Walrus trades a lot against Sui, even more so than DeepBook. So it makes sense that Walrus would follow Sui's price a little bit closer, let's say. But I guess in this case, lagging a little bit because the potential sell pressure from people who got the Walrus airdrop, and also just the fact that people aren't comfortable enough to go down the risk curve all the way to like a Sui altcoins just yet, if that makes any sense. That brings me to the chart here, guys, and same idea. I'm a little bit zoomed in here because if we zoom out, you can see that there was kind of like a big wick to the upside when Walrus initially launched, which kind of like kind of like messes things up a little bit. But point being, similarly to DeepBook, you can see that Walrus, ever since it launched back in late March, it's basically been chopping in a range here, with the lower end of the range being around 40 cents, the upper range being around 55 cents. And of course, the difference between those two levels is 15 cents. So all we have to do to get the target is add 15 cents to the 55-cent upper range, basically. And we get a target of 70 cents, which would, of course, be a 25% gain from this 55-cent level. Of course, from the current level, that would be a bigger gain of, let's say, around 35%. But the thing is, guys, that we do need to see confirmation of a breakout above this key level before we get too excited about Wall going up to that 70-cent target. It's possible that it'll get to 55 cents, get rejected, and just keep chopping in this zone, right? So we would need to see a confirmation of a breakout above that level at least a day or two to get too excited, which is why I have the basically the profit measurement starting from 55 cents. If that makes any sense. And of course, if as you guys can see, if we do get a rejection, like if Walrus does run up to, let's say, 55 cents and then gets rejected, it could fall potentially back down to around 45 cents before, continuing to chop and heading higher. That would be completely normal. I would say that any chop within this range of 40 cents to 55 cents would be completely normal. And again, I do think the catalyst for Walrus to potentially break out of this range and go to 70 cents would be that Sui base camp that's coming up here. I do think there's going to be some very big announcements there, and assuming the macro conditions play nice, which it looks like they will, then expect to see more upside in Deep, Wall, and of course also in Sui. And yeah, guys, if you miss any of the targets there, you can go back. Again, these are all short-term targets. These are not cycle top targets. This is just what to expect over the next week or two. If you did find that information helpful, then be sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, ping that notification bell, and I'll see you in the next one.